At my wedding, the officiant said, "Speak now or forever hold your peace." A woman stood. "I have something." Everyone gasped. She walked forward and handed me an envelope. "Read this." Inside was proof of my bride's affair. I looked at her. "Care to explain?" Her stammering, "I can explain." Got my response, "Don't bother." The ceremony that became a breakup when I, 32 male, am writing this from what should have been my honeymoon suite. Instead, I'm alone with a bottle of bourbon and a story that sounds like bad reality TV. 3 days ago was supposed to be my wedding day. I'd been with my fiancée, 29, for 2 years. Met her at a charity event, fell hard, proposed on a beach at sunset, the whole romantic deal. Dropped $35K on this wedding. Her parents contributed nothing, said they were financially tight, which I understood. The ceremony was beautiful. Garden venue, 150 guests, string quartet playing. I was standing at the altar watching her walk down the aisle in this gorgeous dress, genuinely thinking I was the luckiest guy alive. Then the doors at the back burst open. A guy, early 30s, stormed in with an older woman. The music stopped. Everyone turned around. The officiant, clearly flustered, goes, "Excuse me, this is a private ceremony. You need to..." The guy shouts, "Stop the ceremony." Dead silence. You could hear people's phones hitting the floor as they scrambled to record. Officiant, "What's the meaning of this?" The guy breathing hard. "The bride has another husband, me." My fiancée went completely white, like I watched the color drain from her face in real time. Her, "That's a lie. I don't even know him." But her voice was shaking, and she wouldn't look at me. The woman with him, turned out to be his mother, pulled out a folder, started waving papers around. Marriage certificate, dated 3 years ago, photos from their wedding. She's been married to my son this whole time. The mother walked right up to the front and handed me the documents. I'm standing there in my tux, boutonniere and everything, reading a marriage certificate with my fiancé's signature on it. Dated July 2022. Photos of her in a different wedding dress, kissing this dude. I looked at her. Just looked. Me. "Is this real?" She started crying. "I can explain. It's not what it looks like." Me. "It looks like you're already married." Her. "We were separated, getting divorced. I thought it was finalized." The husband. "We're not separated. I've been looking for you for 6 months. You drained our savings and disappeared." Oh, it gets better. Turns out she'd moved across the country, changed her phone number, and apparently thought she could just start over while still legally married. I handed the papers to the officiant. Me. "Well, this wedding's over." Then I turned to the crowd. "Sorry, everyone. Open bars still available until 6 p.m. Enjoy the reception without the ceremony." And I walked out. The chaos when police arrived was something else. Her family tried to stop me from leaving. Her mother actually grabbed my arm, screaming about how I was humiliating her daughter. The venue manager called the cops when things got heated. I gave my statement to the officers, showed them the marriage certificate. They took her and the husband aside to sort it out. I heard something about potential bigamy charges. Spent my wedding night in a hotel room alone, watching the $35K I'd spent circle the drain. Update 1, posted 5 days later. The aftermath has been absolutely insane. First, the venue. I tried to get a refund since, no wedding happened. The contract was in both our names, so they wanted both signatures for any refund. My now-not-wife refused to sign anything. The venue manager, bless her, felt terrible about the whole situation. She offered to refund the remaining balance after their costs, $8,200, without both signatures, but needed legal documentation proving the wedding didn't happen. Easy enough. Got a letter from the officiant stating no marriage license was signed. The catering company? Different story. They fulfilled their contract. Food was served at the reception, so that $12K was gone. The photographer actually offered to give me all the ceremony interruption photos for free since they were newsworthy. Gee, thanks. But here's where the entitlement really started showing. 2 days after the non-wedding, my ex-fiance's mother called me. Not to apologize, to demand I pay for the dress alterations and her daughter's portion of wedding expenses. Her mother. She spent $200 on that dress. You can't just walk away from that. Me. She committed fraud. She tried to marry me while already married to someone else. Her mother. That's just a technicality. You humiliated her in front of everyone. Me. A technicality? It's called bigamy. It's a felony. Her mother. You're being dramatic. Lots of people forget they're married. I actually had to pause and process that sentence. Me. Nobody forgets they're married. Her mother. Well, you clearly weren't right for her anyway. You didn't even notice the signs. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. Then my ex-fiancée herself started texting from a new number. I'd blocked the old one. We need to talk about splitting the wedding costs fairly. You can't just abandon me with all this debt. My credit is ruined because of you, because of me, the guy she tried to commit bigamy against. I replied once, talk to your husband about your financial problems. Also get a lawyer. You're going to need one. Her response, how can you be so cold? I made one mistake. One mistake, like she accidentally picked the wrong appetizer option. Meanwhile, the actual husband contacted me through a mutual friend. Wanted to clear the air and explain his side. Apparently, they'd been married 4 years, not 3. She'd drained their joint savings, $43K, and vanished while he was on a business trip. He'd been tracking her through credit card charges and finally found her through our wedding registry. He apologized to me. The guy whose wife committed bigamy apologized to me for ruining my wedding. Him. I know this looks bad, but she told me she wanted a divorce last year, then just disappeared. I never signed papers. I've been trying to serve her for months. Honestly, I felt bad for him too. We were both victims of the same con artist. The wedding gifts started being an issue. People wanted them back since no wedding happened. Fair enough. But my ex-fiance's family was demanding we split the returned gifts' value. Her sister called me. You got to keep the KitchenAid mixer from Aunt Helen. That's worth $400. You owe us $200. Me. I'm returning it to Aunt Helen. I'm returning everything. Her sister. That's petty. You're punishing our whole family. Me. Your sister tried to commit a felony against me, but I'm the petty one. Her sister. Stop saying that word. It makes her sound like a criminal. Me. Because she is one. The delusion ran deep in that family. Then came the bills. The florist wanted final payment, $2,100. The DJ wanted his balance, $800. Both were calling me because I was listed as primary contact. I forwarded every bill to my ex-fiancée with a simple message, your fraud, your bills. She responded, you're the man. You're supposed to handle this. What will people think? What will people think? The woman who tried to marry 2 men simultaneously was worried about appearances. I started consulting with a lawyer about recovering my costs. He was not optimistic. Lawyer. Technically, she didn't steal from you. You voluntarily paid for wedding expenses. Me. Based on fraudulent pretenses, she lied about being single. Lawyer. True, but proving financial damages in civil court is tricky. Your best bet is hoping criminal charges stick and pursuing restitution through that. Great. So I'm out $35K and the legal system might shrug. Oh, and the best part? My ex-fiancé posted on social media about surviving betrayal and toxic relationships. Several mutual friends who didn't know the full story messaged me asking what I did to her. I posted one thing. For those asking, my wedding was interrupted when her legal husband appeared with a marriage certificate. I was unaware she was already married. That's all I'll say publicly. The comments section exploded. Her narrative crumbled in real time. Update 2, posted 3 weeks later. Things escalated in ways I didn't think possible. First, the criminal case. The DA filed bigamy charges. It's a felony where we live, carrying up to 5 years in prison. My ex-fiancé lawyered up immediately, using money she apparently still had access to despite claiming poverty. Her defense strategy? Claimed she genuinely believed she was divorced. Her lawyer argued she'd filed papers, she hadn't, and thought the marriage was dissolved. It wasn't. The prosecutor showed me the evidence they were building. Turns out she'd been living a double life, rented an apartment under a slightly different name, had a separate email account, even told people different stories about her past. The husband and I both gave statements. He provided bank records showing she drained their accounts. I provided texts where she lied about her past, claiming she'd never been married before. But the entitlement from her family kept coming. Her father showed up at my apartment one evening. I didn't let him in. Talked through the door. Her father, "You need to drop the charges. This is destroying our family." Me, "I didn't file charges. The state did." Her father, "You can ask them to drop it. Tell them you don't want to press charges." Me, "That's not how felony prosecution works. Even if I wanted to help her, which I don't, I can't stop this." Her father, "So you're just going to let her go to prison? What about mercy? Forgiveness?" Me, "She tried to commit bigamy. Consequences exist." Her father, "You're ruining her life over a mistake." Everyone in her family kept using that word. Mistake. Like she'd accidentally used salt instead of sugar in a recipe. Then came the civil lawsuit. My ex-fiancé sued me for emotional distress caused by the wedding interruption. The audacity was breathtaking. Her claim, I should have handled it privately instead of allowing her to be publicly humiliated. She wanted $50K in damages. My lawyer was genuinely shocked. Lawyer, "She's suing you, the victim? I've never seen anything like this." The lawsuit claimed I was negligent in not preventing her husband from entering the venue, that I intentionally caused emotional harm by announcing the wedding was over in front of everyone. We filed a motion to dismiss, included every piece of evidence showing her fraud. The judge threw out her lawsuit in about 15 minutes, called it frivolous and an abuse of the legal system. But she wasn't done. She started contacting my family, called my mother crying, saying I'd abandoned her in her darkest hour and was vindictive. My mom, who's usually super empathetic, shut her down hard. My mom, "You tried to marry my son while married to someone else. Stay away from him and this family." My ex, "But I love him. It was all a misunderstanding." My mom, "You committed a crime against him. Goodbye." The blocked her number and warned me she seemed unstable. Then the wedding vendors started getting contacted. She called the venue claiming I'd stolen her deposit and demanding they charge me double. The venue manager called me laughing about it but also concerned. Manager, "She's making threats about reviews and lawsuits. Just wanted you to know." I forwarded that to my lawyer. Potential witness tampering. Her sister tried a different approach. Guilt. Sent me a long email about how their family was falling apart and their mother was having health issues from the stress. And couldn't I find it in my heart to help them through this? I didn't respond. The financial damages kept adding up. I'd gotten maybe $9,000 back total from various vendors. The rest was gone. I consulted with another lawyer about suing her civilly for fraud. Second lawyer: you can sue, you might even win, but collecting is another story. If she goes to prison, she won't have income. If she doesn't, she'll probably claim poverty. Judgments are only useful if the person can pay. Fantastic. But then something unexpected happened. The husband reached out again. Him: I know this is weird, but I'm suing her for the stolen money. My lawyer thinks you might have a stronger case if we coordinate our civil suits. Show a pattern of financial fraud. We met for coffee, compared notes. Turned out there were probably other victims too. She'd borrowed money from friends under false pretenses, run up credit cards, even scammed a former roommate. We compiled everything and gave it to both our lawyers. The prosecutor loved it. Pattern of behavior. Not a mistake, but calculated fraud. My ex-fiance's lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. She'd plead to a lesser charge, avoid prison, pay restitution. The DA offered her a deal: plead guilty to fraud-related charges, not bigamy, 3 years probation, mandatory restitution to me and her husband, community service. She rejected it, decided to take her chances at trial. Her family started a whisper campaign, telling mutual friends I was bitter and punishing her for breaking up with me, that I couldn't handle rejection, so I manufactured charges. Several friends confronted me about it. I showed them the marriage certificate, the photos, the timeline. Most believed me. A few still thought I should let it go and move on. One guy actually said, "Yeah, she messed up, but do you really want to send her to prison? That's harsh, bro." Me: she committed fraud against me and theft against her husband. Actions have consequences. Him: but couldn't you just forgive her? These people lived in a different reality. Update 3, final, posted 2 months later. The trial lasted 3 days. I was there for all of it. The prosecution laid out everything. The marriage certificate, bank records showing she drained her husband's accounts, texts where she lied to me about her past, evidence she'd been using 2 identities. Her defense was pathetic. Her lawyer argued she was confused and overwhelmed and made poor choices during a difficult time. The prosecutor asked her directly, "Did you know you were still married when you tried to marry the plaintiff?" Her: I thought it was finalized. Prosecutor: Did you ever file divorce papers? Her: No, but I meant to. Prosecutor: Did you tell the plaintiff you were married? Her: No, because I was going to get divorced. Prosecutor: But you didn't, and you accepted an engagement ring, planned a wedding, and stood at an altar knowing you were already married? Her, crying: It wasn't supposed to happen like this. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, found her guilty on multiple counts: fraud, theft for the husband's money, and attempted bigamy. Sentencing was last week. She got 2 years in prison, eligible for parole after 1, 5 years probation after release, and court-ordered restitution. She owes her husband $43,000 plus interest. She owes me $26,000 for documented wedding expenses. The judge said I should have been more careful with the other $9,000. Thanks, I guess. Her family was sobbing in the courtroom. Her mother shouted at me, "Are you happy now? You destroyed her life." The judge actually intervened. "Ma'am, your daughter destroyed her own life through her choices. The victim here showed remarkable restraint." Outside the courthouse, her father tried to confront me. My lawyer stepped between us. Her father: "I hope you can live with yourself. Sending a young woman to prison." My lawyer: Your daughter committed multiple felonies. Move along before we add harassment to the list. The husband and I grabbed coffee after. Weird bonding experience. Him. Think she'll actually pay the restitution? Me. Not a chance, but at least it's on record. Him. Yeah, at least there's that. We stayed in touch, actually. He's a decent guy who got screwed over, same as me. We joke about starting a support group for victims of the same con artist. The financial reality is I'm still out about $18,000 total after the partial refunds. The restitution order is basically worthless. She'll be in prison for a year, then probably work minimum wage jobs. I'll see maybe 100 a month if I'm lucky. But honestly, I'm okay with it. Not the money loss. That hurts. But the validation that I wasn't crazy, wasn't overreacting, wasn't the villain in her twisted narrative. My family's been incredible. My friends, the real ones, threw me a dodged-a-bullet party. My brother made a cake that said, "Congratulations on not committing bigamy. I'm back to dating apps. Being very, very careful. First date conversation now includes, so, just to confirm, you're not currently married to anyone else, right?" Most women laugh. One unmatched me immediately, which was probably a red flag anyway. Therapy's helping. Turns out getting almost bigamied messes with your head. Who knew? The venue manager reached out and offered me a discount if I ever want to book again. I appreciated the gesture but told her I'm good on weddings for a while. My ex-fiance's family still occasionally tries to contact me through various means. Her sister sent a Facebook message last week asking if I'd write a letter to the parole board when the time comes. I deleted it without responding. One mutual friend asked if I felt guilty about her going to prison. Honest answer? No. She made calculated choices, stole from her husband, lied to me, tried to commit a felony, then sued me when caught. Even after conviction, she showed zero remorse in court, just self-pity about how unfair everything was. Some people never learn, never take accountability, just keep playing victim while victimizing others. I learned a valuable lesson. Trust your gut, verify big claims, and don't ignore red flags just because you're in love. Also learned that $35,000 is an expensive lesson in human nature. But hey, at least I'm not married to someone who's married to someone else. Could be worse. The husband and I are planning to watch the Super Bowl together next month. Weirdest friendship origin story ever. But life's strange sometimes. To everyone who supported me through this, thanks. To everyone who said I was too harsh or unforgiving, she's in prison for committing crimes, not for hurting my feelings. There's a difference. Moving forward. Slowly, but forward. And yeah, I kept the bourbon from what would have been my honeymoon suite. It's pretty good bourbon.